Hey everyone, today I'm back from my break from YouTube and ready to make some content. So I had this video in the works for a while. It's going to be another history major flaws and why it got cancelled video, this time for the recently discontinued Jeep Cherokee KL. For these types of videos I look at the history of the car, major flaws, and why they got cancelled. The first part focuses on looking back at the history of the car and all the details and specs, and then we jump to talking about the events that led to the car being cancelled and any flaws that it had. The Jeep Cherokee was an SUV that lived on over 5 generations, first starting out as a full-size SUV and evolving to a compact, then finally as a crossover. The Cherokee was first released as a 1974 model by American Motors Corporation, or AMC. The SUV was named after the tribe of Native Americans in the US. It's worth noting that while it was a Cherokee from 1974 to 2001, the 3rd Gen KJ and 4th Gen KK were marketed as a Liberty in North America to differentiate them from the Grand Cherokee, but they were still sold as a Cherokee in all the other markets around the world. The compact Liberty was replaced by the 5th generation KL, where Jeep returned to using the Cherokee nameplate, and this time around the vehicle was a midsize crossover to try to tap into that growing segment at the time, with North America generating 1.7 million annual crossover sales in 2013. So this video will cover the KL Cherokee from the 2013 introduction to the 2023 cancellation. So we begin at the 2013 New York International Auto Show, where we got the first look at the Cherokee. It was converted to a crossover and grew to a midsize vehicle to make room for the subcompact crossover Renegade that was below it. Jeep's plan for the Cherokee was to re-establish the brand with a new look, feel, and attitude, among other things. The model names varied over the years, but typically it started with Sport as a base model, then Altitude, Latitude, the trail-rated Trailhawk, Limited, High Altitude, and Overland as the top model. You can see the MSRP on screen, where a 2015 Sport started at $22,995 and rose to over $30,000 for a Limited. 2018 started with a Latitude and rose up to a 4x4 Overland for over $37,000. The final year for 2023 offered just 2 models, the Altitude Luxe for $37,695 and the Trailhawk for $41,295. The Jeep Cherokee styling was very polarizing, especially at first. It definitely strayed from typical Jeep styling. However, it's been said that the designers could tie almost every area of the new vehicle to something important to Jeep and their history. First, the designers wanted to veer away from the Jeep brick design of the previous Liberty due to the ever-increasing corporate average fuel economy regulations. Mark Allen, the head of Jeep design, said, quote, "The previous blocky Cherokee was so aerodynamically inefficient, it would be wrong to do it." End quote. That resulted in the Cherokee being the first Jeep vehicle to use the Fiat Compact wide platform, which was co-developed by Chrysler and Fiat. It's unmistakably a Jeep, but it sure is an odd one. The front end still has Jeep DNA with the 7-slot grille, but the one-piece waterfall hood design was different than what Jeep fans were used to. That design was said to be inspired by the creased grills of the original SJ Cherokees from the 1970s. Gone were big round headlights, replaced by deep sharp headlights on the far outer edges of the front end. These were notable for tiered lights, with LED DRLs on top, the projector headlights below, and the fog lights at the bottom. The side view is highlighted by the well-defined wheel arches and rockers, while there isn't very much to say about the very plain rear end, with the LED taillights breaking up the lower and upper portions of the vehicle. Designers said that many details on the new Cherokee were important to Jeep in some way, but it was a lot of very subtle details, like a Willys graphic on the windshield, Willys' face on the Jeep cargo management system hooks, and even a map of Hell's Revenge Trail molded into the interior plastic. The Cherokee KL did receive a facelift for 2019 and up models, and this made it look quite a lot better. The first thing you would notice are the larger headlights, which now incorporate LED DRLs, turn signals, and headlamps in the same housing. As a result, the grille has been shifted down slightly. Also new are the front bumper, aluminum hood, and rear-end tailgate with a hands-free foot swipe feature. The rear LED taillights are new as well to better match the Jeep Compass design. All new Cherokees got different wheel designs too. Finally, the Trailhawk front fascia was redesigned for better off-roading with a better approach angle for inclines. Next, let's cover the interior, which is functional and comfortable. Interior designer Klaus Busse said, quote, "We didn't look at the Liberty when we did the Cherokee. We looked at the big brother, the Grand Cherokee, and asked, how can we get that into a smaller, more affordable package? Except for the leather-wrapped instrument panel and the Alcantara headliner, everything else from the Grand Cherokee you can get in the Cherokee. It's either the same material or from the same family of materials." End quote. So the whole dashboard is very fluid with many lines flowing every which way. Designers wanted the center stack to remind you of a 1940s Jeep grille, while the vents are supposed to look like a skeleton. Designers said that the various color schemes and stitching chosen resembled famous spots like Mount Vesuvius and Kilimanjaro, the Grand Canyon and Morocco, and even the cloth seats have fabric used by Scandinavians in their thick winter coats. The standard touchscreen front and center is 5 inches, but the 8.4-inch Uconnect system was the upgrade. The driver cluster is a 7-inch digital gauge that shows a wealth of info. Technology options include a rear-view camera, wireless smartphone charging, internet radio, a media hub, and more. There are lots of knobs and buttons making things easy to operate, like a knob for terrain selections with auto, sport, snow, and sand/mud. Base models like the Latitude come with cloth seats, while perforated leather seats are found standard in the Limited. Leather continues to the armrest, grab handles, and the Limited has brown titanium trim, black vents, and stitched leather on the dashboard. The Cherokee also has a power liftgate that opens via a remote or a button. The rear seats are 60/40 and fold flat, and there's 40.3 inches of legroom, 2 inches more than the Grand Cherokee because the Cherokee's seats are higher. Jeep also tried to maximize the storage, done by carving a pocket into every nook and cranny they could find, like a deep glove box, door armrest pocket, receptacle built into the passenger seat, and more. Just like the exterior, 2019 and up models got improved. There were better materials used, new color schemes like storm blue inspired by the Iceland landscape, a redesigned center console, and a 115-volt outlet added. Heated and ventilated Napa leather seating and a heated steering wheel became available, as well as keyless entry. Jeep also added more volume to the rear cargo area to a maximum of 26 cubic feet, or 55 cubic feet with the rear seats folded flat. Next, we can look at the performance of the Cherokee. Initially, Jeep offered 2 engines to the North American market. The standard was the 2.4-liter Tiger Shark Multi-Air 2 4-cylinder, making 184 horsepower and 171 pound-feet of torque. No one is buying these for performance, but 0 to 60 happens in 9.5 seconds, and the quarter mile in 17.2 seconds for the Tiger Shark. Gas mileage is rated at 22 city and 31 highway mpg for the front-wheel drive models, which was a big 45% improvement over the previous Liberty that this replaced. The optional engine was a 3.2-liter Pentastar V6. This was exclusive to the Cherokee and was never used in any other vehicle to this day, but it's still just a variant of the very widely used 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. This upped the ante to 271 horsepower and 239 pound-feet of torque, and with it came better performance times, with a 0 to 60 in the 7-second range and the quarter mile in a 15-second range. Fuel economy does dip to 20 city and 29 highway mpg. In select markets overseas, FCA did offer some turbo diesel engine options. For 2014, there were 2 versions of the 2-liter Multijet 2, and from 2015 onwards, a 2.2-liter Multijet engine was added, which was meant to offer more torque in the low rev range compared to the 2-liter. The 2.2-liter had between 182 to 197 horsepower and a whopping 325 pound-feet of torque. This engine performance is quicker than the Tiger Shark, but a bit slower than the V6. European fuel economy standards are different, but this engine got a rating of what would be over 35 mpg combined in the US, far higher than any of the North American engines, and the 2-liter diesels have even higher ratings, although the performance was very poor by North American standards. Jeep started using the 2-liter Hurricane Turbo inline-4 engine in the 2019 Cherokees as the third option for North America, with 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. With this engine, performance times were half a second quicker than the V6, with a 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds and a quarter mile time of 15.2 seconds, but it does require premium gas. Paired with all engines in North America was a ZF 9-speed automatic transmission, the first Chrysler vehicle to feature this transmission. Some European Cherokees with the diesels did come with a 6-speed manual. All 3 engines have stop-start technology. Towing capacity is 2,000 pounds with a 2.4-liter, 4,000 pounds with the Hurricane, 4,500 pounds with the V6, and 5,500 pounds with the 2.2-liter turbo diesel. Both front-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive models are available. 4-wheel drive comes with the Jeep Select Terrain system with 3 versions: Active Drive 1, Active Drive 2, and Active Drive Lock. The first 2 are options on most models, and the last is standard on the Trailhawk, which is more geared towards off-roading. The 4-wheel drive systems have automatic rear axle disconnect to reduce parasitic drivetrain load and improve the fuel economy. Going back to the Trailhawk for a bit, since it was trail rated, Jeep included recovery hooks for towing a stuck vehicle, a unique hood graphic, different bumpers for better approach and departure angles, wider fender flares, off-road skid plates, and a full-size spare wheel. Still, this Trailhawk was nowhere near as capable off-road as some of the previous Cherokees. The Cherokee even got a few special editions like the 2016 75th anniversary and the 2021 80th anniversary. You'll see most of the 75th anniversary pictures on screen. The car was based on the Latitude trim, getting exclusive features like a Recon green metallic exterior paint color option, unique 75th anniversary edition exterior emblems, bronze painted exterior accents, bronze painted 18-inch wheels, premium cloth seating surfaces with ombre mesh inserts, and 75th anniversary edition embroidery, and bronze accented interior trim. The 80th anniversary was very similar, sharing a lot of the same features and visuals. In 2023, the Cherokee was discontinued after 49 years of serving as a staple in Jeep's lineup. It was built at the Belvidere assembly plant in Belvidere, Illinois, until the last Cherokee rolled off the line on February 28, 2023. There will likely be a next-gen Jeep Cherokee, as Jeep made a statement on that recently, but as of now, the most recent Cherokee KL as we know it has been cancelled. So now we move on to the next part of the video, looking at the reasons for the cancellation and the flaws of the Cherokee. The first thing to look at here is a massive decline in sales. The Cherokee was very successful from 2014 to 2020, selling as many as 239,000 units in 2018, and no year had less than 135,000 sales, and those figures are just from the US. However, sales declined rapidly from 2021 to 2023, resulting in just over 24,000 units being moved last year in the States. Jeep had seen the writing on the wall as they dialed back the offerings, with just two models for 2023, the Attitude Luxe and Trailhawk. At the time of cancellation, the Cherokee was being heavily outsold by every other Jeep model. Kelley Blue Book also reported that Jeep dealers had about 101 days worth of Cherokee inventory on their lots as of the end of February 2023, which was far more than the industry guideline of 2 months worth. I would say the main reason for the decline in sales is because the Cherokee has found itself as the odd man out in the very crowded Jeep SUV lineup. In 2023, including the Cherokee and Renegade, Jeep had 9 vehicles, all SUVs except for the Gladiator. The Jeep Compass was offered at a price point around $7,000 less than the Cherokee for almost the same vehicle in my opinion, so why buy the Cherokee? And you could go up $6,000 from the Cherokee to the much better, bigger, and more capable Grand Cherokee. The 2023 Compass started at just $29,995. The Cherokee Attitude Luxe was over $37,000, while the Trailhawk was over $41,000. And the 2023 Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x2 was just a few hundred more than that at $41,830. And that wasn't the 4x4, but you can have that for $2,000 more, so $43,830. So I feel like the Cherokee was in no man's land with a price point that was a bit too high for what it was in a very crowded SUV segment. That was reflected in the sales as the Cherokee became less competitive and less desirable, while most of the other Jeeps, including the Compass, continued to sell very well. Another major reason for the cancellation is the shift in market dynamics and consumer preferences. One Jeep dealership posted this statement, talking about Jeep focusing more on models with higher demand and potential for growth. The automotive industry has seen a transition towards bigger SUVs and crossovers with more space and versatility, which impacted the sales of midsize SUVs like the Cherokee. Clearly, Jeep is focusing more on their bigger SUVs, like the Grand Cherokee, which has a regular, longer version and 4xe version, as well as the huge premium SUVs like the Wagoneer, Wagoneer S, and Grand Wagoneer. Discontinuing the Cherokee allowed Jeep to allocate more resources and attention to those higher margin vehicles, which are expected to drive more significant sales and profitability for the company. Another crucial factor in Jeep's decision is Stellantis' commitment to electrification. Jeep's EV plan calls for the introduction of 4 all-electric SUVs in North America and Europe by the end of 2025. Additionally, 50% of Jeep brand sales in the US will be fully electric by 2030, while 100% of European sales will be all-electric by then. By discontinuing the Cherokee, Jeep can focus on developing and marketing their future EV lineup, and that could even include a next-gen EV Cherokee, as evidenced by this statement that Jeep wrote to Motor Trend. Now on to the flaws of the Cherokee. These things are not something that would have killed the car, but they're worth talking about. So the first flaw that definitely affected the Cherokee would be the ZF 9-speed automatic transmission. The Cherokee was the world's first vehicle to use this transmission, and it had an unconventional design reducing the size and improving the fuel economy, but at the expense of being more complex. The Cherokee release itself had to be delayed from late 2013 to the summer of 2014 due to transmission quality problems, Not the first time we've seen something like that from Fiat Chrysler. Then after the 2014 launch, there were many reports of issues from customers, including rough shifting in the lower 3 gears, each gear having its own quirks like either hanging in gear too long or being aggressive in lurching, being too clunky in all the gears, inconsistent shifting, a total failure to shift gears, grinding gears, loud noises while shifting, and more. In August 2016, ZF North America announced they were recalling 505,000 transmissions with faulty control sensors that can suddenly shift the vehicle into neutral. 2014 and 2015 Cherokees have a very high amount of consumer complaints on websites like safecar.gov and carcomplaints.com, most relating to the transmission. FCA Chief Quality Officer Doug Betts even left the company one day after the Consumer Reports annual reliability rankings in 2016, where FCA finished worst in the rankings. The Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Fiat brands occupied the bottom 4 spots of 28 brands that were ranked by the magazine. Of course, the new 9-speed automatic was partly to blame. Jeep would release 3 transmission software updates for the Cherokee in 2014 and 2015, but still issues continued with only marginal improvements. Multiple technical service bulletins were created by Jeep that were acknowledging that there were widespread issues, telling dealers what to do to try to solve them. In August 2015, a lawsuit was filed against FCA, reaching a settlement with Cherokee owners to receive an extended warranty and possible cash compensation or trade-in vouchers if a customer made 3 transmission-related complaints on or before November 16, 2018. That settlement included the 2014 to 2015 Jeep Cherokee, 2015 Jeep Renegade, 2015 Chrysler 200, and 2015 Ram ProMaster City. Now, these 9-speed issues also affected other vehicles from other brands, like the Range Rover Evoque, Honda Pilot, Acura TLX, and Chrysler 200, but there is no doubt that this is an important part of the story of the Cherokee, and the vehicle would have simply done better on the market and possibly lived a bit longer had it not suffered from these transmission troubles from day one. Another issue worth mentioning is a software glitch on the 2014 to 2015 Cherokees, among many other vehicles, that allowed hackers to wirelessly hijack vehicles and electronically control important functions like radio, air conditioning, and windshield wipers, but more importantly, steering, brakes, and the transmission. 1.4 million Chrysler vehicles were recalled in July 2015 that had the Uconnect 3C infotainment system. And the final flaw to talk about was the lack of capability for the Cherokee KL. Many were disappointed that the Cherokee wasn't very capable off-road like its predecessors. Most of these vehicles were 4x2 front-wheel drive, with very little aftermarket potential and not at all suitable for anything other than being comfortable and safe on the road, aside from maybe the Trailhawk version. Again, that's why I talked about the Cherokee being in no man's land earlier. If you wanted comfortable and safe, there's the Jeep Compass at a cheaper price point. One final issue to discuss about the Cherokee was its name. In February 2021, the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Chuck Hoskin Jr., called for Jeep to change the Cherokee's name, where he spoke about wanting corporations and team sports to retire the use of Native American names, saying things like, quote, "I'm sure this comes from a place that is well intended, but it does not honor us by having our name plastered on the side of a car," end quote. By March 2021, Carlos Tavares stated that Stellantis was open to dropping the Cherokee name from its vehicles, and, quote, "The company was in talks with the Cherokee Nation over the use of the tribe's name on its SUVs," end quote. Following these discussions, Jeep chose to continue using the Cherokee name on some versions of the vehicles, and now with the Cherokee gone, the Grand Cherokee name will continue to be used. So that's the end of this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed it. What do you think about the Jeep Cherokee KL and everything we talked about today? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Mopar content, and I'll see you in the next video.